Hello everyone, welcome to our channel. HR Generalist, or HR Specialist. It sounds like a job title question. It isn't, it's the decision that quietly shapes your salary, your promotions and your next 5 job titles. This is part 1 of 2. Here we'll cover what each path actually is. The real work, the daily reality, the career ladders, and what the salary data says. In part 2, we'll make the decision, with case studies, myth busting and a 5-question test. Let's start. A few weeks ago someone wrote to me, "I've been in HR for 4 years, and I still don't know what I'm becoming." That one sentence costs thousands of HR professionals a promotion every year. Not because they lack skill, but because their skill has no shape. They apply everywhere and get shortlisted nowhere. Their salary band hasn't moved in 3 years. They're good at everything and known for nothing. If any of that stings a little, stay. This video is for you. Here's why this decision compounds. First, hiring has become shape-driven. Recruiters aren't scanning for HR experience anymore, they're looking for a pattern. Either you own the full employee lifecycle end-to-end, or you have proven depth in one function. A blurred profile loses to both. Second, pay follows scarcity. Indian salary studies consistently show compensation and benefits, HR analytics and talent acquisition specialists out-earning generalist profiles at the same experience level. And third, the two paths open different doors. Generalists climb HR executive, HR generalist, HR BP, HR manager, HR director. Specialists climb specialist, senior specialist, then head of talent acquisition, rewards or L&D. Same industry, completely different ladders. So, who is an HR generalist? Simply, the all-rounder of the HR team. One person handling a bit of everything across the employee lifecycle: hiring, onboarding, payroll inputs, employee relations, policy, engagement, exits. Usually the first or only HR hire in a small or mid-sized company. Picture a 180-person D2C brand with one HR person. Monday she screens 20 CVs. Tuesday she runs an induction. Wednesday she fixes a payroll discrepancy. Thursday she mediates a conflict between a manager and an employee. Friday she publishes the engagement survey. That is a generalist, broad ownership, high context, constant switching. An HR specialist is the opposite shape. One function, owned end-to-end, and measured on that function's outcomes. Talent acquisition, compensation and benefits, learning and development, HR analytics, employee relations, compliance. You'll find these roles mostly in mid to large organizations where HR is split into centers of expertise. Here's a real picture. In a 4,000-person IT services firm, one person owns compensation, salary benchmarking, band design, the annual increment cycle, offer approvals. She almost never runs an induction, but every promotion letter in that company passes through her model. Narrow scope, deep authority, very hard to replace. Let's put them side by side. Scope, wide versus narrow. Typical company, startups and SMEs versus structured, larger HR teams. How success is measured: smooth HR operations overall, versus one function's KPIs, for example time to hire, cost per hire, compa ratio. Core strength, adaptability and context, versus depth and technical mastery. Daily reality, constant context switching, versus long focused blocks. Next role, HR manager, HR BP, HR head, versus senior specialist, function-led, head of talent acquisition or rewards. And the biggest risk on each side: the generalist risks being known for nothing, the specialist risks being siloed with no business view. Screenshot this one, it's the whole video in a single frame. Same 9 hours, completely different days. The generalist, screening CVs at 9:30, an induction at 11, payroll corrections after lunch, a conflict call at 3, engagement reminders at 5, and a policy draft in the evening. The specialist, pulling the hiring funnel data, benchmarking 12 roles against the market, building an increment model, presenting band revisions to finance, approving offer structures. Be honest with yourself right now. Which of those 2 days drains you, and which one energizes you? That answer matters more than any salary chart. Now here's the part most people miss. This isn't actually a binary. There's a well-known model in talent development called the T-shape. The horizontal bar is breadth. You can operate across all of HR. The vertical stem is depth. One function you're genuinely known for. Pure generalists plateau, because there's nothing they're uniquely trusted for. Pure specialists get boxed in, because they can't see the business. The strongest HR careers are T-shaped, broad enough to lead, deep enough to be irreplaceable. And that's a framework, not a law. Treat it as a planning lens, not a guarantee. Let's map both ladders. On the generalist track, HR executive, HR generalist, senior generalist or HRBP, HR manager, then HR director or CHRO. On the specialist track, recruiter or HR analyst, specialist in talent acquisition, compensation or L&D, senior specialist, function manager, then head of that function. Timelines vary hugely by company size and country. Treat these as typical, not fixed. And here's the reassuring part. Crossing over is completely normal. Generalists specialize once they find a favorite function. Specialists move into HRBP roles to gain breadth. Neither ladder is a one-way door. Now the question everyone actually came for. What does this pay in India? These are typical CTC bands for 2026, ranges, not promises. HR executive or trainee, 0 to 2 years, roughly 3 to 6 lakhs. HR generalist with 3 to 6 years, 6 to 12 lakhs. A specialist in talent acquisition or L&D with 4 to 8 years, 10 to 20 lakhs. A specialist in compensation and benefits or HR analytics, same experience, 12 to 25, noticeably higher, because those skills are scarcer and tied to numbers. HR manager or HRBP at 7 to 12 years, 15 to 30 lakhs. And HR head or CHRO, 40 lakhs and upward, with large corporates going far beyond that. Now, an honest caveat, because you will find very different numbers online. Payscale and Glassdoor put HR generalist averages near 4.5 to 5.5 lakhs. Corporate datasets like Keka's HR Pay Pulse 2026, built with SHRM India, report much higher figures. Neither is lying, they're sampling different worlds. One includes SMEs and Tier 2 cities, the other leans towards metro MNCs and global capability centers. So treat every number, including mine, as a range to verify against 2 or 3 sources before you negotiate. What actually moves your pay in India? 4 things. City, Bengaluru, Mumbai and Hyderabad pay well above Tier 2. Industry, IT and GCCs, BFSI and consulting sit at the top. Scarce skills, analytics, compensation, and specialized tech hiring. And a top B-school MBA, which matters most early in your career. Notice that none of those 4 is generalist versus specialist. The label opens doors, scarcity sets the number. So that's the map. What each role really does, how the 2 days feel, where each ladder goes, and what the market pays. Part 2 is where it gets personal, 2 real career stories, the 4 myths that quietly damage HR careers, the 5 mistakes that stall them, the 5 question test that tells you which path is yours, and a 90-day plan to start it. It's linked in the description and on screen now. Before you go, comment generalist or specialist with your years in HR. I reply to everyone. Subscribe so part 2 finds you, and share this with an HR friend at the same crossroads.